What's up, guys? Welcome to today is the first episode of the Young Tycoon, where we go over all things real estate, business, and money associated with you. If you want to be a young tycoon in the real estate business, and I want to help you do that because I really needed a mentor, man. I needed somebody to talk to me and give it to me straight because that's what I know how to do, especially if you're a young gal and you're out there and you're trying to figure out like, I want to get in this game. How do I hustle? What is the skills I need? What do I need to do? Who do I need to talk to? Right? So, a little bit about me. Again, my name is Victor Bell, best-selling author. I've done $59 million worth of real estate deals in my lifetime, and I have a $50 million real estate fund that we're currently raising capital for to go into buying institutional quality multifamily real estate. And I'm just a regular guy, man. Um, I've hurt my way through life. I left home when I was 12. I left my mom's house when I was 12, got to my dad when I was 14, had my first daughter when I was 15 years old. Got kicked out of Killeen High School. I went to high school in Killeen, graduated from Brownwood, Texas High School, joined the military, got out right away, got in trouble when I got home, started selling weed, started selling drugs, was on probation, and on probation. I kept getting fired from a bunch of jobs. And then while I was getting fired from these jobs, I finally got a job. I went to a bookstore. I got a $10 book from the bookstore about how to do real estate. And that started my transition into like, I'm going to do this. One, I didn't have a choice, right? You don't have to be me or go through that. You don't have to have some crazy story. But the goal with Young Tycoon is to give you the information that I didn't have to hopefully mentor some of you guys. Maybe you were an athlete. You're getting out of college or you're getting out of high school and you don't know what you're going to do. Maybe your career as an athlete, football, track. I ran track. Military guy. Maybe you were in the infantry like I was, or maybe you were in tech, or maybe you were in the medical side of the military, and you're transitioning out and you're still young. You know what I'm saying? You're in your 20s, you're in your early 30s, and you're like, dude, what do I do? That's where I was. So what I needed though, I only got in trouble because I didn't have a plan and I didn't have somebody to mentor me. Say, hey, don't do that, do this. Like I had to, if I had a mentor, I had wrong mentors. Someone taught me how to go sell weed. Somebody taught me how to go sell drugs. I wasn't a troublemaker. Then when I got a job, I watched the people on that job hate that job because I was like, okay, well they can't help me either because they're stuck here. They're still here. Either they quit or they got fired or they were there for 15 years. So they weren't good mentors for me. So that book was a mentor, right? It was a Ron LeGrand book. I don't, you can go read it. It's Fast Cash with Real Estate. It was a great book for me at the time, but I want to share with you what I've learned over the years. Really, I want to share with you some mistakes because there's some mistakes, some do's, some don'ts, some skills you got to learn. Number one thing I want you to take away from anything I talk about is real estate as an investment vehicle, not real estate as a business. That's a sales job, right? Like if you are going to do investments in real estate, you're going to raise your own money, do your own deals. You need to be great in sales. Buying real estate is a sales job. Raising money is a sales job. Marketing to get deals in the door from the brokers, whether you're reaching out to off-market deals from brokers, a person like sellers, whatever you're going to do, it's a sales job, which means there's a couple of things you have to know about selling as a buyer if you're going to buy your own stuff, right? So, first thing I wanted to go over with you guys is a little bit about me. I know I'll talk fast. I'll slow it down as I'm going because this is the first episode. So, I definitely want you guys' feedback on what you want me to actually talk about, right? Because I can talk. If you watch any of my other videos, man, I can go. But this is different. This is one's hitting close home to me because I needed this. I'm just going to share with you what I needed, and maybe I'm further along than some of you guys, and maybe some of you guys are further along than me. I don't know, but this is the thing. All right. So the first thing I want to share with you guys were my mistakes, and I wrote them down because I want to stay on topic with this first episode. But I'll go through deeper, and then I'm going to go through the skills that you need, what we're doing right now, how I can help you guys, if I can help you at all. I got books, I got courses, I got anything that you need to get access to because I didn't have that stuff then. There was no internet, there was no seminars I can go to. I went to a actual bookstore, Hastings. So the first mistake that I made, and I'm going to clear this up. The mental shift that needed to happen for me was big because that book taught me real estate, but I should have been studying real estate books. I should have been studying business books. I didn't understand that real estate was a business. And if I thought like a business person, I would have been further along. I would have done $59 million worth of real estate. I'd be a billionaire today, which is what we're working on now. Creating a multi-billion dollar real estate company as opposed to just being a guy who's trying to find a deal, sell a deal because I needed to eat and I needed to make money. If you're in that situation, great, do that. But that can't be your end game. So I want you to have this mental shift. Don't just study real estate. Don't go to the real estate books. Go to the business books and use real estate as the business, right? So, number one thing I needed to do is I needed to have a mental shift, but I didn't have anybody to tell me that. All right. And here's the sad part: the people who helped me, supported me, they had a business, but I still didn't understand business. I didn't really understand organization and business, what it means to be an executive and a manager, overseeing capital and real estate and things like that until maybe about 5 years ago, where I really became a businessman. That's a huge difference. But I don't want you to go through what I went through in your 20s. You don't have to. All right. So, number one thing, I needed to have a mental shift. It wasn't real estate, I was actually in business. And if I treated it like a business, I'll always have a real estate business. But if I treated it like real estate, it was a feed or famine thing for me. Hunt a deal down, go get the money, sell it, make the money, reinvest the money, hunt them some more deals down. That's a transaction. I wasn't a realtor or a broker. I'm still not. All right. So the number one thing you need a mental shift on what you're doing. All right. Especially if you're just getting started and you want to become a tycoon, you want to be a billionaire. Don't become a real estate millionaire. That's stupid. Become a billionaire if you're going to do this by yourself. I want to help you. I'm not a billionaire yet, but I'm on track to do it. So continue to watch my career and I want to help you become a part of it. Easiest way to become a billionaire is to work for a company that has a billionaire target, a horizon, and you help build that so you become one of them, right? Elon Musk has a bunch of people in his company that are billionaires. They just don't talk about them. So anyways, that was the first one. There was a mental shift I needed. Number two, I was thinking too small. I was thinking, how do I go buy a property and sell it and make money? What I should have been doing was how do I buy, which I did do a couple times, how do I buy a whole city block of real estate, multifamily real estate, not houses, right? So digging too small involved the size of properties I was looking for because the book was like, go buy a house, go flip a house. I didn't even like flips. I'm not a contractor. I didn't do any flips. I bought properties, pretty houses. I negotiated the financing and then I turned around and sold them. Technically, that's not flipping or wholesaling, which it was called assignments at the time. But you should buy a whole city block. Don't think small. How can you, like, if you think about your mom and your dad, let's say, you're 20, 30 years old, and or your let's push back. Let's go to your grandparents. How much real estate or how much better off would your family have been if your grandparents had bought the whole neighborhood where they lived at? Because at some point in the 50s and the 60s, houses were like 7,500 bucks. Let's say they bought 40 properties in where they lived at. They kept them, they rented them out, they kept them up, they paid them off, and they had renters in there. How wealthy would your family be? Not rich, wealthy. Now, some of you guys may have that. Some of you guys may have it. But if you don't have that, if you're like me, or if my grandparents, instead of buying their house and buying the vacant lots in Louisiana, buying a couple of trailer homes and renting them out to my aunts and uncles, like, had they not done that, had they just said, you know what, we're going to buy every nice property we can put our hands on. We're going to work our ass off and buy all those things and buy the whole block. They would have been extremely wealthy. I wouldn't be making videos for sure. But if you think about your own, your family, your grandparents, your mom and your dad, had they started off in real estate and had they bought city blocks, multifamily real estates, the 2 units, the duplexes, they weren't building like 400 units back then. They were only building duplexes, fourplexes, things like that. Had they done that, your family would be wealthy. That's what I mean by not thinking small. All right. So, and I kind of already went over the mental shift with the next one, the thinking real estate versus actual finance. So I had the benefit of actually partnering with, I cold called somebody. They actually partnered with me. They were my financial partners. They owned a mortgage company. So when I actually got the opportunity, I started working with Bob Leonetti and Jamie. Jamie actually works with me now, but Bob and Jamie owned Success Mortgage Investments at the time. And that they did mortgages, second mortgages, and they also bought notes. So I actually had the benefit, I didn't know because no one told me, was learning finance, learning how to structure the debt on multifamily properties, learning how to structure creative financing on the seconds, learning how to buy mortgages and notes at the end, learning how to renegotiate the debt and the finance, and learning how to package all of those debt instruments, which is the mortgages up, the payments, and selling it off to a bigger buyer, which later I found out was like Wall Street. That what was happening. Their company was probably just like any other company at the time, taking advantage of the craziness that went on, and then later the market crashed. So, but I bring that up to say, like, thinking that real estate was just property, not realizing real estate is an actual investment vehicle in finance. Finance means the management of money. So when you guys hear me talk about finance, financial world, that's Wall Street talk for finance, the management of capital and money, right? It is the business of managing money. The most wealthy people on the planet are actually in finance. Most all 100% of billionaires are in private equity, hedge funds. I'm sure you guys can look this up. Hedge funds are doing hedge funds or the equity space, which is finance, right? Management of assets, management of capital. So I didn't understand that that's what was really happening. So thinking real estate was real estate instead of thinking about it like a financial instrument that could be sold or introduced to other people that had money. That worked. That's the only reason why Bob and Jamie partnered with me. They're like, oh wow, this guy knows how to find deals because I was young and I was a hustler and I needed it, right? So I learned that and they brought the money to the table because they understood the finance game. I didn't. So I became kind of like a partner, but I was really a bird dog, if you really want to think about that. So if you're young and you're thinking, man, where do I start? Think about real estate as an investment opportunity that you can package up and bring to people with money that want a financial vehicle so they can make more money on their money. This is a money play. It's not real estate. Real estate is just where the money is generated from. You are just the person that learns how to bring that to the table. All right. So the next thing is the mistake that I did make. So that was the other one, thinking that real estate was real estate instead of thinking about it like it was a financial product, like I was selling money to money, right? The next one was I should have spent more time learning how to raise money. I raised money for every deal, but I wasn't learning how to raise money. That was a panic mode. I went and got a property, a multifamily property or residential property, and then took over the responsibility. So I had a noose around my neck. Then I ran out to my connections. I go, hey, I got this deal. Do you want to invest in it? So that wasn't raising money. That was raising money, but that was panic raising money. That wasn't a system. That wasn't, like I said earlier, the mental shift of thinking about this like a business, right? And I'll go into something a little bit later. But learning how to communicate with investors, the way investors, the actual investor communicates was better. Here's why I say that. Because I got taken advantage of a lot. People were like, oh, this guy's got a noose around his neck. Yeah, let's do it. For sure. We'll do 50-50. We'll give you the money. And then later, because I didn't have any paperwork, I didn't know what I was doing because it wasn't a business, right? All I was like, yeah, I did it. I closed it. It was an ego thing. They were like, "Hey Vic, I know we said 50-50, but now let's go 80-20. Now let's do this. I'm going to take all the profit cuz I need my money back and we'll help you out on the next one." And I was like, "Okay, too stupid to know better." But I'm telling you guys, in this business, if you start learning how to communicate with investors, high net worth individuals, and see them as partners, you're bringing a financial opportunity to them. If you're 20 years old, you can do that. People are doing it all the time now, and it's not new. I'm just sharing with you. If you want to be a young tycoon and you're listening to me, I'm just sharing with you what I needed to learn. These are my mistakes. It should have been like, hey, here's how much money you're going to make. Here's the investment opportunity. Here's the splits. Let's put that in writing, and I will do 100% of the work, and you will get a return on your money, and we'll continue on doing that. Like, there's a communication strategy that goes with talking to people as you're talking about investments, very different from as you're pitching a deal, right? I was only pitching deals. So I should have really spent the majority of my time learning how to raise money, real money. Like realistically, know what I know now, I'd work with a guy like me who has a real estate investment fund, an actual open fund, an actual deal that's been filed with the SEC, it's filed with the state. I got a private placement member, like all the. I'm not gonna go through the big words, but someone who's already up and running. Like even though I work with Bob and Jamie, they were up and running, but they were doing mortgages. I was learning something, but I didn't understand what I was doing. So that's the mistake that I made. I should have been focused on raising capital and learning to communicate with high net worth individuals and business owners and doctors and professionals. And I should have been focused way more on that than I was focused on finding a deal and doing the real estate stuff. That's secondary because it should have been a business opportunity, not a real estate opportunity, right? So the next thing that would have made it a lot easier for me, even though I did it, and I'm telling you guys this for mistakes to avoid, I probably should have just went to go work for somebody. Like I didn't work for Bob and Jamie. I actually went to work with them, but then I was like, dude, I can't do it. Right? I should have just stuck it out, right? But I didn't want to be in mortgages because I saw their problems. I should have been like, I should have went to a hedge fund, private equity. I should have packed all my shit out of Texas and moved to New York and got dropped off in front of Wall Street and went to knock on doors and be like, yeah, I want to work here. Even if I started off at the bottom. I tell a lot of young guys this, look, if you want to make this work and you want to figure it out, work with somebody, like learn how the sausage is made. You want to know that. I wish I would have learned that. Somebody would have been like, dude, here's the deal. Go work at a private equity company that raises money for real estate, multifamily, big properties that are talking to people and raising 50, 100, $200 million at a time, where that's a normal conversation, right? If you listen to most of the people today, like the Barry Sternlichs for Starwood Capital or John Gray over at Blackstone, he worked at a private at a real estate company raising as a deal guy. Barry worked at one of the other private thing. I can't. It wasn't Lehman. That was Steve Schwarzman worked at Lehman. But these guys in their 20s were sitting down at meetings where the minimum investment was like $50 million, $10 million, $100 million, $200 million deals. Their exposure to that conversation was so different. Had I known that, which is what I'm telling you guys to do, like when I'm looking at deals that are 80, 90, $100 million, $120 million, $140 million deals, to be exposed that with that opens up your mind to what's really possible instead of the people that I was associated with that were out there running around trying to buy $100,000, $200,000 deals. Then I moved to Hawaii, they were buying $300,000, $400,000 deals, and I thought that was the shit. That was the shit, all right, but it was shitty. Like I made that work, but you don't have to. If you're a young tycoon and you really want to play this game, you want to be in the world where one, you know how to communicate with high net worth individuals, and number two, if you want to really accelerate, you want to win, and you want to really push, go work with a guy like me. Go work with somebody that's motivated, that's a startup guy, that's always going to run his private equity firm like a startup company. Because I'm more into speed and I'm entrepreneurial. While we raise money, while we get the best deals, like that's how you play. Sorry, man, I get excited about this because I wish someone had this information for me. All the information I read and people that I studied, it was slow and go, and it was nobody who can really identify to who I was as a human being. I'm a fast moving guy. I'm motivated. I think big. I want it. And if you're young, you need to hear this. If you're getting out of the military, you need to hear it. If you're leaving college and you're trying to figure out what you want to do, you need to hear it. If you're getting out of high school, you're not going to college, you don't know what you're going to do, you're some athlete, you're a hard charger, and you want to go win, maybe you need to hear this too. All right. So that was it. Go work for a firm that's pushing. The next mistake that I made was and I kind of mentioned this a little bit, was starting too small. Was a lot of that was the mental, but I should have started in bigger multifamily deals. I remember specifically there was a deal that I went after. I had already been doing it for a few years, but it was 177 units in Austin, and I put together a negotiation opportunity for the property on the corner, right? So it was another 42 units with this 177 units. The deal didn't work out. There was some stuff we found with the bigger property that made the other property not worth it. But that was probably the deal of a lifetime. And if I would have ignored everything everyone said about that deal and I would have pressed forward with that deal would have, I would have been the Victor Bell you know today would have been generated and created by that guy. That opportunity, that Victor Bell that would have closed that deal would have made me. I would still have that deal, right? So thinking bigger and starting in a bigger space with multifamily, I would have been better off. But I didn't know because one, I didn't see real estate like a business. Two, I didn't work with anybody in a firm where I understood that it was easier to raise that money than the run around and scrape and beg and plead and all the other stuff with these other people to give me money for small deals to just take the profit from me. I should have just started bigger. I didn't know. I didn't have anyone to tell me, dude, it's easier to go bigger. But you got to raise money. That means you got to know how to talk to people. That means you need to know what you're talking about. And you need to be a great salesperson. You need to be honest, transparent. All of that matters. That's a part of sales. Now, the next thing that I did do this, but I couldn't really see how I fit in it, was I should have studied more wealthier companies, not people. I was studying like Ross Perot, which I love Ross Perot because he's the closest that I can understand. He's from Texas. He's a hard charger. And I had another person that I worked for because I did get into sales, which was my first professional sales job where I had actual training, was selling life insurance and annuities with AFBA. And that was good for me. So I got the opportunity to see someone that I can like Mr. Pearson that is one of my partners, potential investor, or not a potential investor, he's an investor with us. And be able to really teach me the professionalism that goes into sales as a professional. And that was my first introduction. And I still didn't put the lines together to actual selling a financial product, learning annuities, how the returns work, the timelines, being able to move your money into an annuity and how compounding interest works and how to put together $1 million, 2 million, 10 million. And he owned that office and a bunch of other offices, and he was partners in the building. He was partners with another guy named Jim Wright, who actually owned a bunch of real estate. He's a commercial broker there who owns a lot of developments, does a bunch of stuff there. Like, I got exposed to the financial sales world through professional selling, but I hadn't still tied the real estate to it. I was still like, ah, look at this deal I did. But I should have been studying wealthy companies. I should have been like at the time, I didn't know. I should have been studying Sam Zell. I should have been studying Steve Schwarzman and Blackstone at the time. I should have been studying Larry Fink and BlackRock at the time, who all these guys were on the come up from the 90s all the way through. I didn't even know they existed, but they were crushing it back then. Um, I should have been, I studied Warren Buffett. I studied Sam Walton. Who else was big at that time? Yeah, just kind of those guys. I studied the people, but I couldn't put myself in the environment where they were because I didn't really get it, right? But looking back, what I should have been, Sam Zell was probably the main one. If I would have studied Sam Zell, what he did at the time, I was already studying Donald Trump, but it was more of a star-studdedness, like wow, Donald Trump and his real estate and think big and go after these big assets. But I lived in Texas. I couldn't get my head wrapped around high rises in New York, in Manhattan, right? Being a developer. So those are the mistakes though. But had I done that, looking back, had I studied Sam Zell and multifamily assets and putting together portfolios and dealing in the financial world, the finance world of raising capital to get these deals, I would have went bigger. I would have chose to work at a firm, so I would have understood the language, the words, how they sell. Even though I sold annuities and insurance, that wasn't private equity real estate, right? Um, I would have learned how to communicate better with my investors or more investors, or I could go sit at a table with people who are doing 100, $200 million deals in Texas. That was happening all around me. I just didn't know because I didn't know who to talk to or why to talk to them. And if I did, I would have ruined it. So and then I would have been thinking about business, real estate as a financial instrument. And I would have also been thinking about real estate and studying real estate from a business perspective, more business books, not a bunch of real estate books talking about flipping, wholesaling, options, subject twos, creative financing, doing deals with no money and no credit. Like that's not really what I wanted. I had to do that. That was my way in. But if I look back and if you want to get into this business, you want to avoid those as mistakes. So the things, now that you know that, first thing you need to do is you need to come up with a basic purpose for your life. If you're going to be a real estate tycoon and you're in your 20s or your 30s and you want to do this by yourself, number one, connect with a guy like me. I'm here for you. I'm always available. I'm 1000% transparent. If you ask me, I will tell you. You can go to bell-capital.com/book, bell-capital.com/book. You can download my real estate book for free. It's there. It's a digital copy. If you want a hard copy, that's this one. Um, just go to leave me a comment. I'll figure out how to get it to you. Um, I'll make sure to get you a copy. Or you can go to Amazon and get it, whichever one. Doesn't matter to me, but I want to be able to help you guys. But you need a basic purpose, right? For me, it was money. Like when I got out of the military, I had zero money. So people are like, yeah, what do you want to do? What career do you want to chase? I'm like, shit, I don't know. I'm lost right now. Like I didn't have anything when I went in. I'm coming out, I don't have nothing. Right. So what I needed was a purpose. And I'm going to tell you guys, there's a difference between somebody goes, yeah, you should chase your passion. You should not chase your passion. None of the stuff I named to you, I was passionate about at the time. I didn't know anything about it. You can't be passionate about something you don't know. Even if you watch other people say they're passionate about it, they're lying to you. They got good at it. They probably hated it. They had to do it. And then once they got good at it, it became their passion. So don't mistake passion for priorities, right? So if anything, if you're getting out of the military, getting out of college, you're an ex-athlete, you're getting out of high school, and you're like, shit, what do I do? You need to focus on money. How much money do you want to make? And then focus on learning. Because if you don't know nothing, you don't know nothing. I can teach you real estate. I can teach you finance. I can teach you how to raise money. I can teach you how to communicate with high net worth investors. Hell, you can come work with me as an intern. I can teach you the ropes. And the reason why I say think about it like a business is because you may be doing real estate, but there's departments in doing real estate, big real estate as a syndicator or fund manager. That's what you really want to get into, right? You don't want to start off with little shit. You rather work with somebody who's a syndicator or fund manager who's already had the experience, work in a department or work on an activity with them. Then you get to piggyback off of their experience and success, and you get to grow your portfolio with them because you're helping someone like me grow. And then I'm helping you grow. I got your back. You don't have to take the bullets. because I'm going to take the bullets to the front. There's no need for you to take them. All right. So one, you need a plan, and that needs to be a profit and money driven plan. How much money do you want to make? How much money do you need to live off of? And then you educate yourself, right? Again, it's sales and marketing. It's really a communication game, right? So selling and buying real estate is talking and communicating to another human being, but you need to know how to communicate. All right. The way that I'm talking and all this other stuff on YouTube, I don't do this at the bank. That's a whole different Victor that has to show up to the bank than the YouTube Victor that has to show up on a YouTube channel and talk about all the stuff that I'm talking about to you guys. The energy shifts into money. Like right now, we're talking about go get it or go raise it or go find it. But when I'm talking to somebody at the bank with money, man, I'm not animated and neither are they. And they ain't going to give that to you. You have to know when and how to communicate. As I said, it's sales, but it's a communication strategy and a communication skill. So, just knowing that you're dealing with investments. Real estate is an investment vehicle. People put their money into it and it pays them every month. The real estate does that. So you're selling a financial product or a financial vehicle. But these are the mistakes that I made. And had I been, because now I'm an older tycoon, right? I'm pushing towards something, right? But when I was younger, if somebody was like, look, don't go small, think about this like a business, learn how to raise capital, learn how to talk to people with money, and not be all overly animated and stuff and super pumped up because they're gonna see you coming from a mile away and they're gonna trust you or they're gonna take advantage of you. Those are the only two things they can do, right? Because it's a money thing. You don't have any money, they know it because you look needy. There's a pecking order. There's a way to do this. All right. And then last but not least, somebody should be able to ask you, like, hey, what do you want to get accomplished? You'd be like, hey, I want to have $1 billion worth of real estate within the next decade. If you're 20, if you're 30, same goal. Or you'd be like, hey, I want to work with somebody in their organization like Bell Capital and be like, hey, I want to go help this guy get to $1 billion. And in turn, I'm going to be an investor in the company, an investor in the fund, an investor in this thing. And I don't want to do all the real estate stuff. I just want to be here and help somebody else build something, hook my cart up to his cart, and help this guy push forward because he's going to take care of me. He's doing all the work. I don't have to do it. I can just take pieces of the table, pieces of the puzzle off of his, so that way he can grow and I can get the benefits of that. Like that's the game that I wish I would have played when I was younger. I played it, but I was playing it with people who didn't have a big goal. So at some point, I helped them get bigger, and then they quit because they're like, "Dude, I didn't believe we could get here this fast. Thank God, Victor." And then they left, and I'm like, "Dude, now I'm left. Like I had to do this. You don't have to." So those are the things I want you to think about, man. I know I went through this quick. I will break these down specifically. I'll go over the sales skills that you need to master, the communication that you need to master, how to find the deals, how to fund the deals, how to talk to investors, where to find investors, like how to follow up with these guys, how to lock up a deal, how to talk to a broker when you're young and you don't have anything, a pot to piss in or a window to throw it out of, or maybe you got a bunch of money sitting on the sidelines, or maybe you're a trust fund baby. I don't know. Here's the deal though. If you're 27 to 37 years old and you're a young tycoon or you want to become one, this will be the thing that I want you to stay watching. All right. Because I'm going to be here doing this. I want to say, I think I have a plan to do about 50 episodes of this. This will be episode one. This is the mistakes to avoid if you're a young tycoon and you're just getting started in this real estate business, the real estate investment business. Very different than for you to just be a wholesale flipper. I'm not going to teach you that. You don't need that. There's enough videos out there of guys that are teaching wholesaling, flipping, subject to creative financing, all this stuff. Yeah, you're a finance guy. You're creating money out of thin air, or you're raising money, you're allocating capital, and you're managing capital for other people. You can do that in your 20s, but you need to take that very serious. And you need to have some skills to go along with it. But I want to help you do that. I'll show you what we're doing behind the scenes. All right. So again, go to bell-capital.com slash book. That's bell-capital.com slash book. And you can get a copy of my real estate book. I have another book there. It's bell-capital.com slash cash flow. That you need more cash flow. I talk about that all the time. You don't need more money, you need more cash flow. So if you're going to get in this business and you're going to become a real estate tycoon, you want to control assets, raise capital, and you want to generate cash flow for yourself, your family, and also the company so you can keep that thing running. That's what I didn't understand. I just ate all my any profit I made, I ate it. Threw money in my deal, did some marketing, and then I ran around. It gave me freedom in life, but it didn't give me flexibility and create wealth long term. And that's what I want to help you guys do. Tycoons have wealth. They don't just have real estate. Big difference. All right. So let me know if you guys need anything. Let's get after it, man. Boom.